Then we're divided up into policy teams as well as agency review teams. And the agency review teams were the ones that went into each of these agencies and did reviews. The policy teams were the ones building policy, not decisions, but policy options for members coming in, cabinet members coming in, as well as White House staff on various aspects. And mine with Julie Jankowski was technology, innovation, and government reform. And we divided ourselves up into 4 groups. One in technology, looking at technology and innovation in science, looking at how science can be revived, looking at how to reinvest in science, open up the prospects for science in the government. And with the appointment of John Holdren as our chief science advisor, and so it's just really kind of taking it to another level, and having him is going to be fantastic because he's such a great scientist. Second, innovation in the economy, really looking at the economic issues across the board. And when I say economics, I look at health, education, immigration across the board. How do we look at innovation and technology across the government? And working with the various cabinet appointments and sub-cabinet appointments as they've been coming on board, to talk to them about how they might look at technology and innovation. And Chris talked a little bit about the website. And it seems Senator Daschle's done a lot on the website with the healthcare, starting conversations, asking questions. We hope a lot more of that will continue to happen. This is a great test for us to work through with the various cabinet and sub-cabinet levels to think about how they might use technology and innovation and everything that they're doing. The third was innovation in government. How do we open up government processes? Partially, you've seen it on the website already, with the posting of the meetings, with the posting of the papers coming in. Also, we hope to do much more of that. How do we post more data? How do we make data more publicly available? We're working through that process now. We're working again with all the various agencies and thinking about how they might do it. What are ways to get that information up? And how they can also use their CIOs and CTOs most effectively to do that. And then finally, innovation in society. How do we get civic participation in government? MLK Day is just the beginning. Today's a great day. It's just the beginning of service, but really thinking about service beyond just the level of service of 1 day of service, but how do we everybody work together? Because as this economy, and as you see the aspects of this economy, we're all going to have to work together to solve some of these problems. It's not going to be the government by itself. It's not going to be just the private sector by itself. It's certainly not just the public sector and non-profit sector. But how do we all work together to solve some of the greatest challenges that we're going to face? And many of you come from that community, from all those communities, and this is going to be certainly an aspect of shared governance. So how do we use our website most effectively? How do we think about public-private partnerships effectively? And really, how do we think about service in a different way? Not just service in terms of giving up of your time, but really thinking about service as a continuum from everything you do in your daily lives to what you might do in your communities, to what you might do with organizations, and more broadly, what you might do taking some time off to give service. So when we think about that, we've thought about how we do all of those pieces. And going forward, what we've done is build a series of options for not only the cabinet members coming in, sub-cabinet members coming in, but White House staff coming in, and how they might think about that. So rather than hitting everybody over the head and saying you have to do this, we're giving them options of how they might go forward with this. And what's been great is just today is the number of the cabinet posts that are going out to do service on their own, whether it's in the communities where they are right now, or whether it's here. In fact, I just came from a Service Nation event where our Secretary Designate for Education, Arne Duncan, was there, and there's been many at RFK Stadium tonight, this afternoon. So to keep that as a part of everything that we do, of transparency, openness, and participation as part of who we be as government.
Thanks, Dawn. Ginger Liu needs probably no introduction in this room, but I first met her 8 years ago when I was working for the President's Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Our original chairman was Secretary Norman Netta, and President Clinton decided to nominate him to be Secretary of Commerce, and an opening came up on the commission. And Ginger Liu proudly, as she has done throughout her life, stepped back in to fill the role of government. Ginger is a businesswoman and an entrepreneur, and time again, she has taken up time off from her very successful career to come back and give back to the public. During this transition, I would get emails from Ginger at all hours of the day and night, because it turned out that she was in Vienna, working on a business deal half the day, and then working on transition the other half of the day. So talk about somebody who had no sleep over the last 2 months. Ginger actually became kind of our guru for Asian American appointments, providing counsel and advice throughout the last 2 months on how we make sure that we get the best and the brightest from our community into positions throughout the federal government. She knows as well because in the Clinton transition, she worked on the transition for presidential personnel there as well. Her role on our transition team was as a member of the agency review group for the Small Business Administration, an administration that she worked for in the Clinton years. So please welcome Ginger Liu.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Chris and Sunil, for all the things you've done over the last several months, if not the last 2 years, in terms of making this a reality. I would also like to take a moment to thank each and every one of you. Many of you are leaders of organizations that rallied around the flag and got your organizations organized and energized to reach out to the communities, to get out the vote, to register the vote, to inform the public about what was going on, and to energize people about this incredible man. I want to thank those of you who are members of such organizations, because you tapped your networks of friends and business colleagues for donations, for, again, counting on front doors and making sure people were registered to vote. And for those of you who took time off from your jobs, either as full-time and came on as full-time volunteers, you made the ultimate professional and financial sacrifice to be a part of this incredible journey. And for all of you who on election day came out to vote, who made this dream come true, all of us, thank you. So as you have heard, we are now moving from the electoral campaign to the campaign of turning around this country and to this and this economy. And we will need people, once again, grassroots organizations who will serve as the eyes and ears for this administration in terms of new policies, new initiatives, and challenges that we face. For those of you who wish to join the administration as team members or leaders, those efforts too will be needed, and your contributions will be asked for. Now, just to speak a little bit about the agency review process, which Sunil and Chris have talked about, beginning November 5th, groups of us were identified to go into a very broad range of agencies and to make an assessment. We were taking the temperature to see where that agency was and what has happened over the past 8 years. Sad to say, many of the agencies are not in good shape, whether they have suffered significant cuts in personnel, significant cuts in budget, or significant cuts in programs. Over the next few years, we will be charged with rebuilding these agencies, rebuilding the morale of the personnel, and re-delivering not only past programs, but new programs. And so this effort will require a broad base of talent. Some of us are still involved in the agency review process. Hopefully that will conclude soon as we turn over our efforts to the new leadership. And in that process, personnel matters and personnel opportunities will come forward. Now, let me just say that, as Chris mentioned, the website has just been overwhelmed with applications of enthusiastic and energetic and people who want to become part of this administration. And there's this huge crush that people think, I know, it all happens in the first 60 days, and the reality is it really happens over the course of the next year.